Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I am Adam Mariancho, and today it is Friday, July 25th, 2:50 p.m. We're going to be hopping into a live stream. Most of the ones lately have been later in the day, but yesterday we had a $5 tournament that filled before 6 p.m., and I don't want to risk that happening again. So let's hop in. Let us begin. All right, here we are. And as I mentioned, there are some new tournaments. We will hop into both. One of them is a single entry winner take all. I think we're going to do that second. I think that'll be the second draft of this stream. But then the other tournament is already halfway full. 22,000 entries total. 11 have already happened. And I think you only have a maximum of 20 entries. But I don't think I'll do more than 3 or 4 in this tournament today. So let's first check the chat. Bryce is in here with us, and Bryce is asking, is there a way for somebody to scam on League safe, or is it 100% good? As far as I know, on Underdog, it is 100% legit, and if there is any scamming going on, that league is usually filtered out and returned to you. You may lose your time, but you do not lose the money. If something really crazy happens and there is cheating involved, usually gets picked up. And I have been returned some entry fees before. So I trust Underdog. I hope California doesn't screw me over in the grand scheme of things, but at least for now, I'm still trusting it. But Jamie, what's up, dude? Bonsoir. Technically, is a good afternoon, but I'll take it. You may be on the East Coast, and that's a difference of 3 hours. But anyways, we're gonna do the German Shepherd first, and then we'll probably do the mini golden once people are watching and maybe want to join us, and then we'll probably do a second German Shepherd at the end. But I will hop into the German Shepherd now. If you guys want to join me, I'm on like a 6 or so second delay, so hit that button right now. These are filling quickly, so I will join, and hopefully it's all good. There's 4 spots left, down to 3, 2, 1. 1 spot left remaining if you would like it. Now it is taken. It is full. So this thing is filling very quickly. If you want in today, you gotta get it early. And I do have pick 9. Maybe not my favorite pick, but definitely on the, I think, better side of the board to be operating from this year. I think I'd rather have a late round pick than an early round pick, because there is some risk with some of those early picks, like Justin Jefferson. News today, has a mild hamstring injury, will be reevaluated a week from now, but I would imagine he may not be drafted at number 2 for much longer if that injury persists. So there is a little bit more room for risk. I even think Puka would be a phenomenal selection here. He usually goes top 8, though. There may be a cutoff point, a tier break with pick 9. Either way, though, we're getting pick 18 right back around, and we'll be good. So weighing 79 in French sound funny to me. 79. Yeah, there's some weird pronunciation and even terminology with numbers in French. Like when you get to 70, there's no word for 70, even though there's an individual word for 60, for 50, for 40, for 30, for 20. When you get to 70, the literal translation would be 60-10. And then if it was 78, it'd be 60-18. So 79 is 60-19. My favorite, though, is the number 80. There's nothing better than the number 80 in French. I think if anyone was like an original stoner, it was whoever developed the French language, because the number 80 is literally 420s. Literally 420 is how you say 80 in French. I'm a little light on Nico Collins, and I don't want that to end up burning me in the end, so I'm going to go Nico Collins. For the sake of exposure, I got all these 4 receivers in the same tier, and I think we'll get one of them to come back. or one of those 3 running backs that I'm fine taking as well. If I get Genty, Achane, or even Henry, I think I'm still in good shape, even if I'm looking at London with the next pick. Nothing to be afraid of. In the top 2 rounds. Yes, 80 is the way you say 80 in French. But, oh, let's get that old format, the new format, I should say, back up running. Almost forgot. I gotta get this thing in. I think it's this one? Yeah. I'm on the clock now. But I'm going Achane. Happily going to take Achane here. Bowers got taken, so we got a good discount on Achane. And maybe in this tournament, it's a little bit less likely, given this tournament just dropped today, that you have a Nico Collins, Devon Achane combo. Maybe just a little bit unique. But if you were drafting like even like just a month from ago, before Jonnu got traded, a team with Nico Collins and Achane is pretty common. Maybe not in this tournament, perhaps, but with an ADP of 10 and 13, not hard to envision a Nico Collins Achane team at another slot. Maybe less likely at pick 9, but pick 11, pick 12, I'm sure it's happened. Anyways, it is the middle of the afternoon, but that's not going to stop me. We'll be streaming for a couple hours. So let's get in while we can. If you have anything to smoke, go ahead and join me right now. Nice to be back. I took a hiatus from smoking for like 6, maybe 8 weeks, just under 2 months, basically. And I missed it, but we're back, and you do reap some of the benefits when you do take a break. There's always a bounce back in tolerance that's very welcome, at least from my perspective. But so far, team is looking really good for the first 2 rounds, but we still have 16 left to go. We are not out of the water by any stretch of the imagination. We have Nico Collins, Devon Achane to start, very balanced team, and we'll just scoop up value. If we're forced to take a quarterback here, I will. Interestingly, though, I have seen Omarion Hampton go early 3rd round a lot. It seems like his ADP is officially in the 3rd round, now going above Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs. That still feels a little bold for me, and I'm someone who loves Hampton in the first place. But a receiver I'm starting to get really on board with as I do more digging. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is one of the safest picks in round 3. I still prefer Devontae Adams. I still prefer Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins at receiver. They go in round 2. But if I'm looking at the next best option at receiver, I think JSN is the guy I want. I recorded a video. I'm in the process of editing it. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but JSN was top 10 in total points last year. He did stay healthy. He's entering year 3, so that's a pretty safe proposition to bet on once again. I think he has less injury risk than Adams, Tyreek Hill, and T. Higgins combined. And I think he has arguably the best quarterback remaining of these round 3 receiver picks. Like, I wouldn't argue that against Adams. I guess Mike Evans has a better quarterback. He also goes to round 3, but sometimes Evans goes round 4. And, hold on, we are on the clock. And for me, it's between James Cook and Xavier Worthy here. James Cook does want a new contract, but he is reporting to camp, and I see a very big tier break between James Cook and the next level of running back picks. So I'll take James Cook. Maybe we pair him up with Ray Davis later just to feel safe. I don't think it's necessary, but it is a strategy I'm comfortable with. And in general, investing in the Bills' backfield is a wise decision. James Cook had 18 touchdowns last year. Ray Davis had 6 touchdowns last year. And then I think Ty Johnson had another 3 or 4. There were a crap ton of touchdowns in the Bills' run game. And that's not even including Josh Allen's, like, how many rushing touchdowns did Josh Allen have? It's not 15 again, is it? Last year was 12. The year before that it was 15. So another 12 rushing touchdowns. That's 40 rushing touchdowns combined between Josh Allen and the 3 running backs in Buffalo. That's insane. So in general, I want to be investing in that. That's a high-powered offense. I'm never going to regret James Cook in the 4th unless he goes down. Unless he gets hurt. It appears his contract holdout is not a major red flag at the moment. And injury is something that can happen to literally everyone. So give me James Cook. I'll happily take James Cook. But has anything strange happened in this draft so far? I mean, there's the team that took Brock Bowers and George Kittle. There's the team that took Omarion Hampton at 25 in slot 1. Wouldn't do that in Best Ball Mania, but in this tournament, I suppose it's more justified. The ADP just opened today. So that you're not competing against teams that got Hampton in the early 5th. Boy, that looks like a steal. But every team has a running back so far. It's pretty balanced. Now Team 2 has 3 running backs, but otherwise, no one's gotten left behind at that position. But Jalen Hurts moving up the board. I've seen him go early 4th round of the team with A.J. Brown a lot more consistently as of late. I imagine at this point in the season, there's a lot of teams that have Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith stacked up. And if you're someone that's liking that Eagles stack, you probably get a little bored with that and want the A.J. Brown combo. But we're back on the clock. My options, top of ADP, are Chuba Hubbard. I don't think I need running back super desperately, though, when I have A-Chain and Cook. I'm going to go Zay Flowers. I think the rest of the receivers are not in the same tier as Zay Flowers. And while Zay Flowers has a touchdown problem, I can't see it improving this season. I can see a world where Zay Flowers is actually one of the safest picks in fantasy. We're drafting him at his floor. And this is also best ball in the first place. I think Zay Flowers is a much better best ball investment than he is redraft investment. But let me pull something up. I have some interesting stats on Zay Flowers, and I'll get to them right after this pick. It's really just a matter of, I think 7 targets is the number that he needs. I'm pretty sure it's 7 targets. If you get 7 targets from Zay Flowers, his numbers are like elite. 6 or less, you have a terrible player. But we are back on the clock. Rome Odunze was at top of ADP when I took Zay Flowers at receiver. He's still on the board. Really tempting. But I've started to really come around on Deebo Samuel, in all honesty. And I've got a shit ton of Travion. I'm not dying to smother myself in James Conner. Like, I don't need a shit ton of James Conner at his age. Feels a little bit risky. I'll go Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo's a fine pick in the 6th round with a lot of upside, especially as someone fading the Commanders running backs. I like Deebo Samuel a decent amount in this range. But let me scroll down, let me find it, and then I'll show you exactly what I was trying to illustrate on Zay Flowers. Where the fuck are these numbers? Okay, here we go. Zay Flowers, this is a spreadsheet I have for the position. Zay Flowers last year was wide receiver 36, tied with Darnell Mooney at 10.1 points per game. That is just above Xavier Worthy in points per game. So keep that in mind. Pretty underwhelming overall. However, his numbers in games with 8 or more targets, he had 7 of them, jumped to 13.8 points per game. 13.8. That was wide receiver 15, just above Drake London in scoring. So almost half the time you're getting a top 15 receiver. And then in 10 weeks, when he had 7 or less targets, he only put up 7.6 points per game. He had a lot fewer touchdowns in these matchups, but on a per game basis, it actually went up in the games when he had more targets. It's weird. He scores less touchdowns, but he averages 97 yards per game when he gets 8 or more targets. 7 or less averages 44 yards per game and only averages 7.6 points per game. He's terrible, wide receiver 57. But if you're telling me 7 weeks this season, I am getting a top 15 receiver guaranteed with Zay Flowers, I think in best ball, it's a very fair price for a receiver in round 5. I can't guarantee I'm getting 7 weeks of Olave as a top 15 receiver this year. Maybe like 3 or 4 games that with that upside, but not 7. Olave usually goes in the next round. I'm not really sure why someone reached on Olave above Zay Flowers, but that's the same upside hopes of Devontae Smith, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Travis Hunter. If the touchdowns miraculously double, last year there were only 4, then I think Zay Flowers might be a legitimate 4th round pick, maybe even better than a guy like Mike Evans. So he falls to me at pick 57. I'm happy with Zay Flowers as my wide receiver 3, pretty much about any day of the week. But we're on the clock in 3 picks. Somebody that's been free falling lately is Chris Godwin. Maybe not like insane free fall, but considerable. About 2 rounds. He's currently at the top of ADP as I'm on the clock here. Whoa. It's really tempting to take him. But I think someone that's actually safer is Darnell Mooney. I trust Darnell Mooney a lot. I also think Josh Downs is a fine pick, but I'm good with Darnell Mooney. And who knows? I'm going to see if Chris Godwin comes a full round back. I think he might be there at 88. I want to see what the new price is on Godwin. If it comes back to me with the 4th pick of the 8th round, I'll take him. But no, he goes to the team with Lamar at 83. So maybe they're planning to grab Baker Mayfield. I didn't really think he'd get past that team with Mike Evans, but that team has Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, so I don't think they were going to go Baker in the first place. I think they're kind of happy that Godwin was sniped from them. Didn't have to make the decision. But I will double down on my Texans' investment. And with no quarterback at this point, I think we're definitely going to be targeting CJ Stroud. We got Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins now. I think Nico Collins is a fine price at ADP. I think Jaden Higgins might actually be a steal. I've been starting to really commit to Jaden Higgins as a consistent pick in the 8th round. Last year, we had both Diggs and Tank Dell go in the late 3rd, if not early 4th round. You're getting a almost 5 round discount on Jaden Higgins this year. And just because he's a rookie doesn't mean he can't operate as the go-to number 2 receiver. And last year, Stephon Diggs was a top 20 option in points per game. So that's what I'm hoping for. There's also the legitimate injury concerns of Nico Collins. Last year, Nico Collins missed 5 games. He's missed 17 in his 4-year career. And that's an average of over 4 games missed per season so far. So if you're telling me 4 weeks of the year, I'm also getting Jaden Higgins as the number 1 receiver in Houston, I think we're going to get some big spike weeks out of Jaden Higgins and a decent floor. I think as your wide receiver 6, there is no risk at all, mainly just risk in ignoring other positions. So maybe I should have gone Aaron Jones or Tony Pollard, but when I have Devon Achane and James Cook, I'm not really dying to do that. I'd much rather grab a running back in round 6 and maybe not take Debo instead. But right now we have an elite receiving core. The upside of Jaden Higgins is palpable. And I think he's a good pick. I may be incorrect by the end of the year, but I'm not worried about his depth behind him really challenging him as the number 2 receiver. I think he's kind of locked into the number 2 option alongside Nico Collins. I don't think he's the slot receiver. I think he's running out wide, and he's a good prospect. Let me grab Jaden Higgins' profile. So I'm one pick away, but here we have Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 214 pounds. I am on the clock now, but oh damn, I almost wish I did have Chris Godwin now because Baker's there. But I'll go Jaylen Warren. I'm someone who thinks Jaylen Warren could actually just stay the running back 1 for the most of the year in Pittsburgh. I was high on Caleb Johnson entering the draft, but I don't like his landing spot. He fell to round 3, and I don't feel like super confident that they're going to be committed to him like crazy. I don't trust that Rodgers is going to have the patience needed for a rookie like him. But damn, I wish I had a Tampa Bay receiver right now because Baker officially falling into round 10. This team has Godwin with Lamar, goes Bateman, and then this team has 3 tight ends. I don't know what the fuck is happening, but okay, I think I just have to take the discount on Baker. Like, at this point, fuck the stack. Who cares? You're getting a 2-round discount on Baker Mayfield. I know Tristan Wirfs got hurt. I know Chris Godwin is losing some steam, but the fuck? I trust Baker a lot more than I trust Caleb Williams. Caleb has a lot of upside this year, but Baker has way safer floor and equally high upside. We saw it last year. Justin Fields just got hurt, so I guess there's more rushing value, but that pick doesn't make sense. The team has Garrett Wilson, but for Baker to fall to 112 when his ADP is 94? Holy shit. All right, let's get this back situated. All right, so I do have some week 17 correlation. That's really nice. I have Baker and Devon Achane on the same team. I can still go with Rachaad White. I can still go with Cade Otton. I need a tight end. And I can still go Jalen McMillan as well. Let me scroll down. My bad. What the fuck? Okay, so the receiving core on this team is stacked. We're loaded with Nico Collins, JSN, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, and Jaden Higgins. At the top, we have elite options, and then we have really good depth in the top 6. So I'm only going to be trying to get Jalen McMillan as my 7th receiver. I think hopefully I can call it done with that combination. We might get sniped, though. Some teams like Jalen McMillan for some reason. But at running back, we have A-Chain, James Cook, and Jalen Warren. Quinshon Judkins is still on the board. Najee Harris goes. Wow. I mean, I think I have to. This is a really cheap price. I have no idea what I'm getting from Javonte Williams this season. The upside is just too undeniable. I'll take Judkins, but I acknowledge the risk. Pick 129. That's really, really cheap. Maybe it was going to keep falling. He might have circled back around, but damn. I was planning to go running back here. Kind of regret it, in all honesty, just because there's some stacking options I kind of wanted to have instead. And I really doubt Rachaad White will fall all the way back around. Stroud could possibly fall all the way back around, but there's some teams with 0 quarterbacks so far. At least one of them. I don't think it's worth the risk. We have Baker, a bye in week 9, Stroud week 6, and then I have Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins. I think I can call it done with this combination of Baker and Stroud, but it's possible that my original plan of going Stroud and Rachaad White at that turn was the better decision, but the price drop on Judkins a little too tempting. Karma might come back around though with Judkins. Never feels good, I think, to be heavily committed to the guys going to prison or like getting sued and doing criminal activity. The fantasy gods are real, karma's real, but this price on Judkins is just a little too cheap. He was drafted with like the 3rd pick of the 2nd round. He's really fucking good. Maybe it was the 4th pick of the 2nd round. If you're drafted top 40 in the NFL, you got some talent. But that was not the plan. Originally, I was not planning to grab Judkins. Just don't think I can pass it. I was not drafting him when he was going at that 6-7 turn. I was not taking him there. If he fell to me at like pick 80 a month ago, pick 82, that's when I would consider it. But that wasn't happening very often. So now that I can get a massive discount on Judkins and start to pick up some of the ground I've lost, it's more tempting. And in general, I'm taking him somewhat comfortably when he's available, like pick 110, 112. Like I was considering him when we went Baker. The price on Baker was just too good to pass up. So it just happens again. The price on Judkins, a little too cheap. But we have our quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, TJ Stroud. Rachaad White goes 150. I was starting to get a little hopeful that maybe White would come back, but nah. Needed 3 more slots there. Don't get it. But we're back on the clock. I need a tight end. I think that's kind of important for this team, since I don't have one yet. But I do trust Hunter Henry above Brenton Strange. I'm going to stick with my rankings. Disregard ADP. Okay, so the quarterbacks I got, Baker, Stroud. I could call it at 2, but who knows? Maybe I'll grab a Sam Darnold selection in one of the later rounds. I'll see if he falls at a good price. Need some tight ends. We need 2 more for sure. This is a 3 tight end build. 100%. I could probably get away with only 1 more running back, given I got Judkins to fall, but might feel comfortable with 6. And then we're at a point in the draft where I don't really like anyone other than some quarterbacks, but that's not the direction I need to go in right now. I'm just going to grab the stack with Jalen McMillan. We have Baker, and this at least, does correlate a little bit. I'll take Jalen McMillan. And I think I'm probably done at receiver. I feel pretty solid with this group of 7 receivers. We have Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins double stacked with CJ Stroud. I have JSN. I have Zay Flowers. I have Deebo Samuel. I also have Darnell Mooney. And then I also have Jalen McMillan. I think the top 6 are so good. Very safe picks. I'm going to be done at receiver. No more receivers the rest of this draft unless we get really desperate on the clock. But Jamie says, I've noticed Stroud been dropping way past ADP in some of my drafts. Occasionally, but even though I had both of Higgins and Nico Collins, and like you can argue, oh, it's less likely somebody else snipes you because they don't have Higgins anymore. Like Higgins is off the board. There is still that team with Christian Kirk, and I'm so committed to Nico and Jaden Higgins. I don't want to take any risks. I think this is a very fair price where he's going. I think you could rank CJ Stroud, up with Caleb Williams in the 10th round, around pick 110, and that'd be justified. So for me to already get him at 136 on a team where I need him, I think his price is just already really good. I'm not that concerned with risking the fact that he doesn't fall another 18 picks back around to 153. But I have seen him fall as well. I've seen him go in the late 140s. I rarely ever see him at 150 or later. So I'll just take him 136. Yes, I did see that DJ Chark signed in Atlanta. So now my Michael Penix teams can maybe grab a late round stacking option. It doesn't feel good to draft Ray McLeod. I'll say that. So that's a little bit more exciting. DJ Chark, a bit more of a deep threat. But last year I was drafting DJ Chark on my LA Chargers with some optimism. He did jack fucking shit. He was bad. He got injured fast. So maybe that was the main reason. But I know where I'm going with this pick for sure. I would like a Cade Otton on this team. Cobra saying Shipley as a last rounder. Then you can name your team Baker, Will Cook. I've heard that Shipley is actually behind A.J. Dillon in early camp reports. Some of these teams after me are really stacked at tight end, but as much as I kind of want to go Roschon there, I don't really want to mess around. I'm just going to take the Cade Otton stack. I need tight end badly. When all I have at this point is Hunter Henry, and I have a stacking option with Baker, I will take it. But Roschon does go 179. I would have probably gone Roschon instead there. Tim Patrick, 181. Don't see Tim Patrick off the board very often these days. But top of ADP, we are looking at Zach Ertz, Sam Darnold. I got 3 picks left. One of them has to be a tight end. I need 3. One of them has to be a running back. Question is, with A-Chain, James Cook, Jalen Warren, and Quinshon Judkins, do I need a 6th? Or should I just grab Sam Darnold to stack with JSN? We got Baker and CJ Stroud. You'd think that'd be good enough, but having that third quarterback is kind of spicy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Sam Darnold there. I don't think he's going to lose his job to Jalen Milroe anymore. I was worried about that right off the heels of the draft, but not anymore. I think that's very unlikely to happen. And Darnold did throw for 35 touchdowns last year, 4,300 yards. Usually you want to be stacking up your elite receiver options if you are going to stack. So we stacked up Baker with some late round guys, McMillan and Otten. That's not as exciting as it could be. We do have a really good stack with CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and Jaden Higgins. That's going to be very, very nice. Technically, I did get sniped on Jalen Noel, but I was not looking for a receiver there at all. Still need a tight end. Still need a running back. But I don't think I need 2 more running backs. I think I'm willing to just bank on the price discount on Judkins that the late season ceiling is available to me. We got him so late. We got him 129 overall. That's crazy. And it might not be low enough. He might be one of the worst picks on the board. He might be someone to just completely ignore altogether. But I couldn't pass it up there. Hello, Alvi. Good luck to you as well. We'll be hopping into the mini golden in just a couple minutes once I'm done with this draft. So if you want to join me, if you or Best Ball on Call or any of the other people watching this are interested, $2 single entry, winner take all though. I think that draft's going to be fucking wild. I think that thing is going to be crazy. Might need to change the title of this live stream to account for that. But, okay, here's a reminder of the roster so far. We do have Baker, CJ Stroud, and Sam Darnold at quarterback. So I think pretty good. Stroud was terrible last year, so maybe Darnold as the third option does kind of save us a little bit. Possible. I got Devon Achane, James Cook, Jaylen Warren, Quinshon Judkins at running back. I feel really comfortable with this running back room, even with the risk of Judkins as the fourth option where I got him. I think that's actually pretty solid. Let's just hope he actually plays more than half the season. Anyways, receiver Nico Collins, JSN, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins, Jalen McMillan. I think loaded at the top with extremely valuable depth. I like that a lot. And then tight end Hunter Henry, Cade Otton remaining. I need running back and tight end. I think I'm going to take a swing on Brashard Smith. I think this team can tolerate a flyer. Brashard Smith, one of the ultimate lottery pick options this late. But then with my last pick, I need a tight end for sure. Did somebody already take Elijah Arroyo? Is that seriously what happened? I thought I'd be able to go Elijah Arroyo. Wow, somebody took Elijah Arroyo. That's a bummer. Okay, so we could go Schultz for the stack, but not dying to do it. There's also Juwan Johnson that's interesting. Theo Johnson. Terrence Ferguson, though, kind of feels very, very interesting. In terms of upside, I think he kind of has the highest. I already have a good floor with Hunter Henry, some touchdown value with Otton, but not much else. Let's swing on Terrence Ferguson, who I think can overtake Tyler Higbee in LA and can really be solidified as the third target in that offense. I could see Terrence Ferguson really valuable as soon as like week 3, even week 1 technically. But I think the biggest lottery ticket remaining are these rookie tight ends that had a good landing spot. Elijah Arroyo would have been the pick had it not been for the snipe. So That's the tight end core. Hunter Henry, Kate Otten, Terrence Ferguson. Receiver, a quick reminder, Nico Collins, JSN, Zay Flowers, Debo, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins, and Jalen McMillan. Running back, Devon Achane, James Cook, Jalen Warren, Judkins at pick 129, and Brashard Smith. And then lastly at quarterback, we got a 2-round discount, almost 20 full picks on Baker Mayfield. We got him 112 overall. CJ Stroud right at ADP, and then a minor discount on Sam Darnold. We do have JSN to stack up with him. Sadly, we do not have Elijah Arroyo, but I think it was a good team. I think we got some really good values, and this could be a relatively unique roster combination. So let's hope for the best. Let's pray that that works out. But Albie sounds like he's in. $2 should be a fun one. I would draft, but the kids are driving me crazy right now. No worries, Jamie. No worries at all. Seth says, Amon-Ra or BTJ, 12-man full PPR, planning on CMC in the second. I have the 10th pick. You may have to take Christian McCaffrey there at pick 10. I think if I had pick 10 in a full PPR league, I don't think I'd fuck around, and I think I'd just go Christian McCaffrey. Unless it's a keeper league where you know for a fact teams 11 and 12 have both rounds covered, I would not expect both of those teams to pass on Christian McCaffrey, not just once, but twice. Giving them 4 options to take Christian McCaffrey away from you in a full PPR league, I don't think it's worth it, man. I would go CMC at pick 10. At 12, I would hope that Brian Thomas Jr. is still available, because I would rather have Brian Thomas Jr. straight up above Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's younger, he's faster, I think he has less target competition. I trust Liam Cohen. Meanwhile, I don't know for sure how much I trust John Morton, the new OC in Detroit. So, yeah, that would be my strategy there at pick 10. Give me Christian McCaffrey. If it's full PPR and McCaffrey's off the board, give me Devon Achane. Absolutely. And then in round 2, I would hope that Brian Thomas is still on the board. If not, I'd still be fine taking Drake London. Nico Collins, I have ranked in the same tier as BTJ, Amon-Ra. Yeah, go running back first. I think that's the better strategy. Anyways, we will be drafting, like I mentioned. Let me pull it up. The Mini Golden. Understand your $2 is basically going to disappear in a second, but $2 only? I'm in. I'm willing to take that shot. The winner of this tournament takes home all $20,000 that is up for grabs. There is literally nothing you can win if you do not finish in first prize. So kind of bittersweet. There is nothing other to play for. So an extremely cutthroat strategy is what you need to have. If there's players you want, do not give a shit about the ADP. Take them if you're worried about getting sniped. There is 1 quarterback in your starting roster, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end, 10 bench spots, an 18-round draft. It is half PPR. We've gone over the rules many times, but if you're about to join me and you don't normally read the rules, I think it's very important in this tournament. Understand $2 is basically being burned. Only one person will win $20K. So with that being said, I'm going to hop in. If you want to join me, hit that button right now. And with the delay, I will join in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 1 slot left. 1 spot remaining. It is full. I hope you clicked the button right before I did, because this lobby is full. We get pick 10. I like it. I like it. Very happy with pick 10. We've had pick 10 in the past. We just had a draft at pick 9, so very similar strategy. I think you have some of the most flexibility to make things work when you're at the late picks in the first turn of the draft. But Albie is in here. Looks like best ball on call missed by 1 slot. Unfortunate, my friend. Yeah, it's always a bummer when I join one and I find out I'm one of the first 2 people in the lobby or one of the last 2 people in the lobby, because I am hopeful that you guys can draft with me, but When it lines up like that, the timing is just really bad, and it makes it very, very unlikely that you guys can get in with me. But there'll be more opportunities. We still have over a month. What is it? 6 more weeks until the season. We'll draft again at some point, I'm sure. Seth said, my only concern with Brian Thomas Jr. is that he was bad with Trevor Lawrence, and when T-Law got hurt, he went off with Mac Jones. That's why I'm not concerned the fact that he went off with Mac Jones, not a better quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. Trevor Lawrence was banged up last year, and just like every other rookie in the NFL, you can kind of excuse the first half of their season and kind of just only look into the second half. Like, in general, I have a lot of asterisks, sample sizes on every player, like rookies, like Ladd McConkey, for instance. On the season, he was wide receiver 18. On the season, Brian Thomas Jr. was wide receiver 13. But if we only look at the second half of the year, the last 10 games, Ladd McConkey was wide receiver 7, and Brian Thomas Jr. was in the top 7 as well. So I'm not worried about it. That's also a reason to trust Ladd McConkey, I would say. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. is more talented than Ladd and better down the field. I think has higher upside and is also in more of a pass-first offense. I'm willing to trust that Trevor Lawrence will figure it out better than Mac Jones did. Another thing to keep in mind in when Brian Thomas Jr. went off with Mac Jones, 4 of those games had no Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram. So like there was a 12 targets per game basically going to Brian Thomas in that stretch. Ooh, I get Puka at pick 10. Oh, this is a gift. Fuck yeah. Give me Puka for sure. I think Puka might actually be going too late. I'd much rather have Puka than Nico. Maybe not by a mile, but pick 10. Fuck yeah. Give me Puka. Some of the production with Mac Jones was the fact that there was nobody else to throw to, why it looked better. I don't think it's going to look worse. That's for sure. But I'm going to go with Genty. Tempted to go with Derrick Henry, but Genty falls 2 picks. He's a first-round pick. Puka also fell 2 picks, also first-rounder. It's going to be less likely that there is a Puka Genty team than a Puka Derrick Henry team. So I will take Genty in the same tier as Derrick Henry. And younger, slightly higher upside with Ashton Genty. So I'm very happy with how this first round went, and then in round 2 we get another really good pick, keeping it balanced, keeping it even. Wide receiver 1 Puka Nacua, running back 1 Ashton Genty. I like this team through 2 rounds. Philly Mike says Justin Jefferson out for season. They thought it was his hamstring, but it's torn ACL. Don't fuck with me on this. What? Huh? This was posted 2 hours ago. Justin Jefferson tending to mild hamstring strain. Coach Kevin O'Connell said Friday that Jefferson is dealing with a mild left hamstring strain. That was 2 hours ago. Are you telling me in the last 2 hours it's been updated where Jefferson's out for the year? So far on Underdog, there is no update to that. Billy Mike, say it isn't so. Now I have to Google that. No way. Nah. Nah, this is just clickbait. From what I've seen, it's not that serious. Quick Google search does not confirm Philly Mike. That'd be insane. That would suck. I don't trust that. But interesting, in this tournament, we see Albie at pick 4 go Lamar Jackson. We see team 1 go Josh Allen. It's definitely a less common thing to see, so you might get a very unique team. But George Kittle also goes at pick 29. That's really interesting. Don't see that. Oh, yes. I forgot. Philly Mike, PhD. Renowned ACL specialist. I am on the clock, and I just got Devontae Adams to fall back around to me on a team where I have Puka. Oh, fuck yes. Really tempted to go with Omarion Hampton because I've been seeing Hampton fly up the board, but I will grab the falling price on Adams. Really rare that Adams goes this late. Oh boy. I do need to remember I have 3 week 8 buys in my first 3 picks. I don't want to get completely screwed with that. Hampton does go though. Okay. Can't get everything, but I might get JSN here. This team has 3 receivers already. And they go James Cook. Holy shit. Of course, JSN has a fucking week 8 bye. God damn it. It's not the end of the world, but like 4 straight picks with a week 8 bye. That's yes, Ellie. I need to keep that in mind the rest of the way. But I think it can still work out. I think we're still gonna be okay. But damn, we got a great price on Puka. We got 2 round 3 receivers. We're set up for the Stafford stack. Hope I don't get sniped on the Stafford snack, but I like this team a lot so far, with the exception of our week 8 bye. But I mean, just looking at the board, there's the team with Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, and then there's the team with Nico Collins, Drake London, Xavier Worthy. But I think I've got the best receiving core. I think I'd still rather have JSN than Worthy. At some point, Rashee Rice will come back to the field. So this is a very interesting draft. Once I saw Kittle go 29, I was like, oh, I'm getting a very valuable pick here in the 3rd round. But that's why we got to make sure we grab a running back in round 2 when we're at this slot. Like if that team with, Drake London instead of Ashton Genty, they were forced to take James Cook because if they passed on James Cook, they're looking at a much different position later on in the draft. So that Genty pick gives me the flexibility of scooping up the value. Love it so far. Cobra says Cardinals, Jaguars, Lions, Rams, Raiders, and Seahawks have the week 8 buys. So I'm not going to draft any Cardinals, that's for sure. No James Conner on this team. Jaguars, I might have to pass on my Bashal Tutin obsession. Lions, we're not going to take Dave Montgomery. Not expecting a Laporta on this team. So I think we're good there. Rams, we're already committed to. Raiders, that's who we got. And then the Seahawks. So Kenneth Walker is off the board. But okay, keep that in mind on the Seahawks. Thank you, Cobra. Appreciate it. Okay. We cannot take James Conner at this turn. That is for sure. Travis Hunter also, I don't think, is a selection either. Travis Hunter, week 8 bye. Okay. So that means we're looking at Rome. We're looking at Juwan. We're looking at... I think I'm going to go TreVeyon Henderson. My preferred running back in this tier already. And given the week 8 buys that I'm kind of trying to avoid, let's let them just come off the board. Like if they're already off of my board, let's let them go to these next 2 teams and just take the player I want the most. Right? That's what I'm thinking. Wasn't going to take him for sure, but that limits our running back options, and I'm comfortable with what we went with. Really tempting to grab another receiver, but I feel really confident in who I have. Meanwhile, I know the tier break at running back is about to dry up very swiftly. And speaking of Swift, I do have Swift ranked the highest remaining at the position. Give me DeAndre Swift here to balance out some of these rookie exposures. We may need some extra points in the beginning of the season. And now we have two running backs who are going to start that do not have a week 8 bye. In week 8, when we know we're kind of limited on points, let's at least have that position taken care of. Locked up. That feels good. So, at the moment, I'm loving how this draft has gone. Pick 9, pick 10, excuse me. One of my favorites. One of my most desired picks. And we got a really good value on Puka. Genty to pair up with him. Adams fell, then JSN fell even further, and then we did double tap running back at this turn, but I have a feeling in this tournament, running back could have like a fucking frenzy. We already saw some high picks. We saw Breece Hall and Kyron Williams go top 32, and the remaining running backs I think are in a much different tier than who we scooped up. So I'm liking it. I'm liking the team so far. Albie says no. May be upset with my running back picks. We are drafting with you, Albie, so I'm sure you would like to see my demise. But no. Got to get ahead of it. But I think I'll still be in good shape at receiver. Albie had Swift in the queue. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's probably not the pick you wanted to see come off. But RJ Harvey at pick 69, that's pretty good value. I think that's a good pick there. I'd much rather have RJ Harvey than Caleb Johnson. There is the J.K. Dobbins concerns, but I still trust RJ Harvey as the top option in the backfield. I'm still in that camp. At pick 69, I think that's a very fair price. But I will admit I do have Swift ranked just above RJ Harvey myself. You go Pacheco, I like it. I also have Pacheco in that tier. And as long as Pacheco's healthy, if he's the RB1 in that backfield, Pacheco might be the league winner at the running back position. To still get him in the 7th round is, I think, a potential steal. Now, he could be one of the biggest busts in fantasy as well, because last year he was a bust after his injury. Never looked the same. But in terms of upside, it's not like the Chiefs' backfield is going to not have value. Even Kareem Hunt was averaging over 13 fantasy points per game last year. Pacheco, in terms of upside, is a very good pick. I am on the clock. And we do get Jaden Reed at a falling value. His buy is in week 5. Everything is clear with this pick. That's who I'm going to take. The upside of Jaden Reed is really, really valuable in best ball. Jaden Reed can put up like 35 points. Even if it's not consistent, that's really valuable in its own right. We also grabbed running back at that turn to have the luxury here of scooping up receivers. And his teammate Matthew Golden is there. At pick 87 with an ADP of 78, I'll just grab Matthew Golden as well. We'll pair up the Packers receivers. Now I have another really good stacking option at quarterback. We can go with Jordan Love and have some very good correlation. So far, I think this team is really, really good. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I got some good values here. I got 5 picks discounted off Jaden Reed. I got 9 picks discounted on Matthew Golden. I got 7 picks discounted on JSN, 5 discount on Adams, 2 discount on Puka, and 3 spots discount on Genty. I did reach a little bit on both Travion and DeAndre Swift, but I'm good. Quincy Jones asking, do I like Darnell Mooney this year? He wasn't great when Penix came in. I am willing to not pay attention to those Michael Penix stats because they correlated with an ankle injury for Darnell Mooney. The week before Penix was declared the starter, Darnell Mooney had an ankle injury. I think it was a mild ankle sprain, and he played through it for 3 games. 2 of them were with Michael Penix, and then in week 18 in a winner go home matchup, they were fighting for their playoff hopes. Darnell Mooney was unable to play at all. So the injury was absolutely legit. I think a very big asterisk on the projections and evaluation on Mooney, and based on how well he played with Kirk Cousins and the fact that other than Drake London, really the biggest threat for targets is Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. Mooney's going to run the routes. He's going to be on the field. And you also, if you know anything about Michael Penix, there's the potential that they really tear it up down the field. I do trust Mooney. I do think Mooney's a good value where he's going. I could argue that Darnell Mooney's a better pick than both Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden. I think in the 8th round, he's a steal. Almost took him instead of Mooney, but we were already set up with a Packers investment, so I took the value in Golden. But I think Darnell Mooney could really outperform his ADP. I think Darnell Mooney's a really, really safe pick. And I know what you're saying is valid. In those 3 games with Penix, he was terrible, but one of them he was hurt. One of them he didn't play at all. 2 of them he was hurt, not 100%. And then the week before they made the quarterback change, he suffered that injury. It wasn't just random why he was bad all of a sudden. He was bad in that game with Cousins as well. The last game of the year for Cousins with Mooney was a bad game for both of them. So yeah, I do trust Darnell Mooney. But I've been a Darnell Mooney stan for pretty much the life of the channel. I've always thought Mooney was a good value. So he has 5 for 82, one of the Penix games. I mean, if that is the case, I can't say I have it committed to memory, but assuming that's accurate, that's why I think he's good. No problem, Quincy. Yeah, it's easy to forget. I almost forgot, and then I looked on his player profiler page. I'll pull that up right after my pick. But Cooper Kupp now falls, but we're already worried about our week 8 buys. We're gonna ignore that. And then I think I'm gonna go Drake May because quarterback has actually dried up quickly. And I do have TreVeyon Henderson, so let's just get ahead of that. I could literally see 4 quarterbacks come off the board in these next 4 picks. At least 3. This team has none. This team has 1. They don't, but I'd rather play it safe. Kraft off the board. That's really interesting there, but I think I'm going to push it on Jordan Love. I'm not going to go overboard. I'm going to take Trey Harris. I want another receiver. We're about to hit the tier break. Quincy Johnson, you can get Kyle Williams, I think, at the 111 or the round after. I think I can get Kyle Williams 2 rounds from now. I think I can still get Kyle Williams later, but not my like favorite stacking option with Drake May, in all honesty. I'd rather have Diggs. There's some good camp reports on Diggs, and I'm not convinced that Kyle Williams is gonna outscore Demario Douglas or Hunter Henry. My favorite options for Drake May are Hunter Henry and Demario Douglas, in all honesty. But I'm comfortable with taking him unstacked. I think he has that top 10 upside that's independent of necessary stacks. Trayvon Henderson, also a really good catcher of the football. And then I think ideally you're stacking him with Diggs. That's ideally what's going to happen. But let me remind you real quick on Darnell Mooney. We pulled up his page. And if we scroll all the way down, then you see the injuries. So yeah, Darnell Mooney suffered a foot injury in week 14. It caused him to miss a game that was week 18, but he was on the injury report the entire time. For 3 weeks, he was on the injury report, and then he missed the final game of the season. And that's why some of his numbers were so bad. Like, let's go to Mooney's page. Game log 2024. Yeah, even though he was hurt, he had a bagel in one game on only one target. That was the first week off the injury. That's when it happened. No, it happened in week 14. The next week, he had a bagel. The week after that, he had 82 yards on 6 targets, 5 catches. That's fine. That's pretty good. You know, there's nothing bad about that. And then he had 37 yards. So these 3 games were terrible. If we throw them out and just look at the full and healthy games with Kirk Cousins, we're looking at 7.2 targets per game, 4.4 catches, 67 yards per game. So that's already like 9 points just on yardage and catches alone. And then 5 touchdowns in 13 weeks, a 0.4 touchdown rate. That's like an extra 2.5 points. So yeah, you're looking at 11.5 points per game from Mooney when he was active with Kirk Cousins. And we're expecting Penix to be an upgrade from Kirk Cousins. So I think there's upside for Mooney that is still untapped. But now I am on the clock. We did see that team go Tucker Kraft behind us. So even though I was planning for Kraft, I'm not going to let them have a shot at sniping us. I'm going to absolutely take Jordan Love here. And we got our guy. We got the slight falling value on Jordan Love. So far, I've got Drake May, Jordan Love at quarterback. That feels pretty good. I got Ashton Jeanty, Trayvon Henderson, DeAndre Swift at running back. Wide receiver is Puka, Adams, JSN, Jaden Reed, Golden, and Trey Harris. And it's very tempting to grab a tight end, given I don't have one yet, but I'm not desperate for that. I will grab Ray Davis instead. I think Ray Davis is the best pick here. I got 6 receivers. 3 of them have a bye that's not week 8. I'm not going to get desperate. Ray Davis's bye is in week 7. We're all good. But I think Ray Davis has the highest upside among the picks remaining. I will gladly take Ray Davis as my RB4. All right. Back to the board and back to the chat. Sports Poker Guy asking which contest is this. We are in the Mini Golden single entry winner take all tournament. $2 at stake, and only one person will come away with 20K. Yep. Exactly what Cobra is saying. Winner take all for 20K, $2 entry. Mini Golden. But Quincy Jones saying Javonte or Ray Davis. If I were drafting there, yeah, we go with Ray Davis. I would rather go Ray Davis than Javonte. Quincy asking, did this just drop? Yes, earlier today. Yeah, Mooney does have some crazy upside weeks. Like, he's a deep threat. He's really good. Albie says he's guess he's all in on the Ravens. Let's take a look at Albie's roster real quick. Albie had pick 4. He goes Saquon, Tyreek, Lamar, Tet, Zay Flowers, like the Flowers combo there. RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco. I think he had a good turn there at running back. Jaden Higgins, love that pick. Mark Andrews, definitely a wise investment. Cam Scadaboo, Rashad Bateman. You do pass on Isaiah Likely, however, for Kyle Williams. I might have gone Likely there. I might have taken Likely. Maybe you are a real believer in Kyle Williams, but I think the upside of Likely may have been worth it. But You have Andrews. I understand not taking both. Albie says my team has a lot of your favorite players. I hope it's going to be good. Am I doing a BBM sports poker guide? No, I am not right now. Wanted Bryce there. Got sniped on him. Am I going to do BBM after? I don't think so. I think I'm going to do another German Shepherd. Get into the $5 tournament before it fills. Yesterday, the $5 tournament, a different German Shepherd was full by like 6 p.m. on Pacific time. But I'm on the clock next. Stafford gets sniped. Oh, this was petty. That's some bullshit there. Take Hollywood, bro. Why are you letting Hollywood fall? That's some bullshit, man. Oh, I'm fucking pissed about it. Damn it. I was 100% going to take Stafford there. HB Bryant has only Mahomes and unstacked Stafford. Just spiteful. That's okay. That's why I go with Drake May early on. To put myself in a position where even if I don't get Stafford, it's not the end of the world. And it's not like Stafford has any rushing value. Like, these picks on Puka and Adams might be some of the best picks where they're going, and you can still win without the Stafford stack. Like, I'm not totally convinced that you need Stafford in order to win. It would have been really nice. That's definitely where I was planning to go. This team has Mahomes and passed on Hollywood. I'm not really sure what the logic was there. I think it was purely out of spite. But quarterback was drying up. They needed somebody as their backup, so I guess I understand. It's not like Stafford was going to come back around, but like, come on, man. You only have Rashee Rice stacked up with Mahomes. Rashee Rice going to miss some time. That team should have taken Hollywood. Give me what I want. Anyways, I got the Jordan Love stack. I got Golden and Jaden Reed with Jordan Love. That's not bad. We did pass on Romeo Dobbs. I think Hollywood's a better pick. 2 rounds past ADP. Anyways. Captain Spock. Yeah. HB Bryant, 22. Not a fan. And you all the Rams receivers. Oh, we were set up very well, but nope. G Shepard is nice. I'm not sure who that is. Yeah, that's the one thing about Bryce. There are some late round options, and I guess technically for Stafford, there's at least 1 or 2 late round stacking options. But when you have both, and that team had 2 chances to draft Rams receivers and they passed earlier on, like it's a bummer when it's one fucking pick. Also, maybe Tyler Algier might have been the correct pick there instead of Hollywood. If only everyone in these drafts worked together, one of us could win. I mean, that's the thing. It's very cutthroat. You know, you have no incentive to let somebody else win. But I do think that team was mainly looking out for their own back. If all you have is Mahomes at that point, and all the other quarterbacks kind of went off at a bit of a frenzy, especially when you look at the board and you see my team with 2 Rams receivers, you know, with 2 picks, I'm not passing on Stafford twice. If they wanted him, that was the spot to get him 100%. But it might work out here regardless. Like, is he going to take Geno or, he goes Wandale. I'll take Geno. I have Genty. I'll tolerate Geno. I want a third quarterback on this team, and we get a really good price on Geno. One of our favorite selections is still available as well. However, now I'm wishing I did not have Hollywood Brown on this team. Because I really want to take Dante Thornton now. Damn it. I only have one tight end. I don't think I can afford to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Jonnu Smith. Because I think Jonnu's very undervalued at this price. I thought his ADP would settle in the 160s, and it continues to fall. The 180s is just like egregiously low, in my opinion, on Jonnu. And now I could actually maybe get away with only 2 tight ends on this team. It still feels very risky. I think I need a third tight end when my first is Hunter Henry. But if Dante Thornton does circle back and I'm compelled to take him, I can at least maybe stomach it a little bit more. But that's why I think I fucked up drafting Hollywood Brown. I think I should have just taken Tyler Algier and ignored the price discount on Hollywood. Because if I took Tyler Algier, I'd have 5 running backs. I'd feel really confident with Algier as my 5th. I would call it a day. And I would have been able to take Dante Thornton to stack up with Geno Smith. I don't see a massive difference between Hollywood and Dante Thornton in terms of upside. I think Dante Thornton actually might have more upside. And when you have Geno Smith, it's much more justified of a selection. So, Joshua Carrero, did you guys hear about Justin Fields got hurt, carted off the field? He's getting an MRI. I heard all of this, but the use of carted off the field was, I think, negligent by the reporter. Just kind of some clickbait. He rode the cart. He was in the front seat. He's day-to-day. They checked him. It's not ideal. You don't want to draft anyone that gets hurt. It's never fun, but I'm not going to panic on Justin Fields. I'll buy the dip on Justin Fields. If you're telling me I get Justin Fields consistently at a full round or 2 discount from where he was normally going at pick like 99, I'll take Justin Fields at 113 happily instead. He goes in the 10th round. I did take Drake May above him. I did have a slightly bigger reason to take Drake May, though. I had Travion Henderson, who's a legit pass catcher. Like, if I had Breece Hall instead of Travion, then I would have probably grabbed Justin Fields there. But I think Justin Fields is going to be okay. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's still also just July. Dislocated toe, not even the big toe. Yeah. Carted off is a bit different than rode the cart back to the locker room to get an x-ray done. You know? But on the clock with the next pick, I need a tight end. I need a receiver. Actually, no, I need a running back, not a receiver. Of course they go Tutu Atwell. I wish I knew what the deal was between Jarquez Hunter and Blake Corum, because I think one of them has league-winning value. I don't know which one for sure. And that's why I'm just going to avoid both of them and go with Brashard Smith. Like, I really want to draft a Rams running back with conviction, But honestly, I have no idea which one is the correct one. And I also don't have Stafford on this team. So even though we have the Puka Adams investment, it's not critical, especially at running back. Like, who the fuck cares? However, that is not going to stop me with this next pick, assuming he's available. I will take Terrence Ferguson on this team. I think given how late we waited for tight end with Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, even though I think Jonnu's a really good value, I'd still feel more comfortable with that third tight end option. And we're going to snipe HB Bryant out of spite. You do not get Terrence Ferguson, my friend. Fuck no. Yeah, take Russell Wilson. Enjoy the crumbs. Captain Spock says, Strange inherits a role from Ingram that had the third most tight end targets over the past 3 seasons. I like him late. He's a decent value, actually. I think some of the hype on Travis Hunter kind of dismisses some of the value of Brenton Strange. And Strange did have like some consistent top 12 weeks at the position when Ingram was missing. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to him either. If he had circled back to me instead of Jonnu Smith, I probably would have taken him at 183. But I wanted the third quarterback, so I took Geno at a value. We had Genty, so it does kind of correlate. And then I also don't see a big difference between Strange and Jonnu in the first place as well. But Strange at 181 also feels like a really good price. He goes super late in this draft to the team with Trevor Lawrence. So understandable why I don't get him at 183. But I think he's a good pick. I'm not opposed to him. I don't take him like crazy, but I think he's fine. We're minutes away from a Philly Mike report on Fields. Stay tuned. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Thank you. It's not Evan Baxter. It's Bruce. Oh, what's the name of Jim Carrey's character in Bruce Almighty? It's Bruce something. I'm forgetting his last name. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. The city of Buffalo knows very well. LOL, nothing better than beefing with some random person in your underdog draft. You know it, man. You gonna snipe me on Stafford when you don't have a Ram and I got both Puka and Adams? You can't be on my good side moving forward. This year, my top 5 running backs this season are Devon Achane first, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ashton Genty, Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley. I say Achane first because of Jonnu being traded to the Steelers. I would put Achane top 5. I wouldn't put him number 1, though. That's just me. Anyways, a final reminder on the team. We had pick 10. We went Puka, Genty, Adams, JSN, Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Drake May, Trey Harris, Jordan Love, Ray Davis, Hollywood Brown, Hunter Henry, Geno Smith, Jonnu Smith. Geno and Jonnu Smith. That's a good omen. That sounds good. And then Brashard Smith, so triple Smiths to close it out, and then Terrence Ferguson just to say nope on the team that sniped us on Stafford. We also needed that third tight end, so not strictly for sniping purposes. But I think the team was actually really good. I actually think it worked out very nicely. A very unique team as well. And I love some of the values I got at receiver. Like all the receivers I took were well past ADP. And that's going to bode well, in my opinion. I think reaching on Henderson and Swift slightly, just like half a round, I think really paid off. I feel very good about that. Yeah, we have the entire Smith family as well. That's pretty good. A Smith at every position. But let's hope for the best. Anyways, let's move on. Let's do one more German Shepherd, the third draft of this live stream. And although some of you were asking for a BBM, at least one person was, this tournament's going to fill today, and it's only $5. Let's get in while we can. So if you want to hop in with me, it's a 20-second pick clock, $5 entry, and 10K to first. Your advance rates are decent. Hit that button right now. If you want to join me, hit the button as I'm speaking, and I will join, and hopefully the delay syncs it up. There's 9 spots left. If you still want in, I think you can still get in if you would like it. Josh says you got to try Mountain Dew mixed with Powerade. It's so good. I do not drink Mountain Dew, my friend. I can't tell you I'll ever purchase a Mountain Dew voluntarily. But I'll take your word for it, bro. I can't say I drink much Powerade as well, but that does sound like an interesting combo. Which flavor Powerade? And is it regular Mountain Dew or is it a specific brand of Mountain Dew? What combo are you pumping here? But in this draft, looks like Albie's with us at pick 8. I pulled a 112, so happy to be on this side of the board. I'll take the turn at 12 any day of the week above the turn at 1. I think it's much more difficult to draft at 1 than it is 12, in all honesty. Quincy Jones is in at 1 at Severe Jury. Points out Vinny Veritas. I recognize Vinny Veritas from Flock Fantasy. Someone that's always drafting with Flock Fantasy. I've drafted with the Flock a couple times, but I've noticed on his live streams, Vinny Veritas, someone drafting with him all the time. I'm sure based on how many entries there is in this tournament, might have just been a happenstance. But Strawberry Smash, are you in here with us as well? Josh, are you in this draft? I don't see a Strawberry Smash. Albie wants to trade spots. You know, so every time I shit on pick 8, I end up getting really good teams. Quincy Jones does not like pick 1. I don't like pick 1 very much either. You know, getting Jamar Chase is always nice, but it's not always my favorite thing. Yeah. I do recognize the name. Josh says Strawberry Smash is the Powerade flavor. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Powerade flavors. That's good to know. So Strawberry Smash, Powerade, and regular Mountain Dew. That's your recommendation? Maybe one day. But not sure. Not sure I'll do it today. Okay. Let's close that. I don't think I need both of them on the board. But even if this lobby is kind of wild, it's not going to be as crazy as the last one was. Wouldn't expect that. Nico goes, I mean, there's a glimmer of hope I get Puka at pick 12. I'm not expecting that, though. No, of course not. That would have been sweet, though. I do have Brian Thomas ranked 1 spot above St. Brown. I will take him. And then even though I have this start a lot, and I think it's actually become a very common combo at this turn, I will go Brian Thomas, Devon Achane. I've had enough of these drafts at the turn where starting off with a receiver and running back, just keeping it balanced when you have the elite options here in the top 15 picks. If there are teams I regret at this turn, it's when I double down on a position. When I go running back, I don't hate it as much as receiver. But especially these days when it's unlikely you get Omarion Hampton at the 3-4 turn, I think the running back position is kind of bleak. And the tier at receiver really falls off when you get to pick 36. So pretty repetitive from the first 2 drafts of this video, but I think this is the way to go. Quincy says, I think I'd rather have pick 1 than pick 2. Yeah, I think if you're going to be stuck on that side of the board, I think I'd rather just take pick 1 and have Jamar Chase instead of Justin Jefferson. But oftentimes, if I'm at pick 2, I've been going Bijan more lately at pick 2 instead of Jefferson. Problem with pick 1 is you get Chase and then get sniped for Burrow. Yeah, that's a big problem. And you're also like you feel compelled to grab all of the Bengals, and then if you don't take Burrow in at the 4-5 turn, he never comes back around. It's really rare it happens. But go ahead, man. Get frisky. Josh says I recommend drafting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's how my friend won first place in our league with 14 people. Last year it did work, but if you recall, T. Higgins was going in like the 4th round last year. You did get a big discount on T. Higgins. So I'm not saying it can't work again this year, but the price evaluation, you know, like the equation on if it's the best decision again isn't the same. But last year those two receivers crushed. T. Higgins was technically like wide receiver 2 in points per game if you remove Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin from the equation. He was actually tied with Justin Jefferson for wide receiver 4 in points per game behind Rice and Godwin. So technically tied for wide receiver 2. But Jefferson played a full season, averaging 15.6 points. T. Higgins only played 12 games, averaging 15.6. Jefferson had the better season. Worthy off the board early there. Hampton off the board. That's a bummer. But yeah, Worthy went pick 27. And I'll be on the clock here after Keith A.H. He goes Mike Evans. And wow, once again, we get JSN to fall to us. So this is the 3rd straight draft I'm taking JSN. I think he's a really safe pick. I know it's not exciting, but I think he's a really safe, locked-in pick. And to mix it up, we'll go George Kittle at tight end. All right. So let me pull up some stats on JSN. Okay, I'll get back to the board in just a second, I promise. But okay, here are my stats at receiver. Let's move that over. Okay, so what the hell? There we go. So JSN was wide receiver 22 in points per game last year with 11.9. All right, so already based on where we're drafting him, that's a fair price at the end of the 3rd round. However, what the hell? However, he was wide receiver 17 after DK Metcalf got hurt. In 8 games after Metcalf got hurt and was still on the field, JSN became the number 1 receiver and was averaging 12.7 points per game. That was wide receiver 17. So he jumped up to be like Ladd McConkey, Devontae Smith type of good. So that's a reason to trust him even more. He was a top 20 receiver, top 17 without DK Metcalf. And then in 2 games when Metcalf was off the field, he averaged 21.7 points per game on 10 targets, 6.5 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown per game. So 2 touchdowns in that stretch. So JSN did put up elite numbers without DK Metcalf, and he was also still top 17 when Metcalf came back to the field with injury. So there's some really high upside with JSN. He stayed fully healthy. He played all 17 games in both years of his career, and he's a really talented prospect when he was coming into the NFL. So I think he can absolutely crush. But at least from a floor standpoint, I think where he's going, I would rather have JSN than Garrett Wilson. And yeah, now he has Sam Darnold, but Darnold had 4,300 passing yards last year. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. Um, Meanwhile, Garrett Wilson has Justin Fields, and I don't think Fields is better than Sam Darnold. I think it's the other way around. I think Jefferson made Darnold good. The question is if Darnold can be good on his own. But I'm willing to trust that he's learned enough in his career where he'll still be good. Good enough to at least be somewhat relevant and at least close to what Geno Smith was doing. I don't think he's going to be a big drop-off of Geno Smith. I don't know if he's going to be better than Geno Smith, but I don't think he's going to be much worse. And I think that'll be good enough to carry you. But I'm on the clock here. Got 2 picks. I think I'm going to take Joe Mixon at the falling value. I think I'll take him as my running back 2. I also have Brian Thomas and JSN. But I think I'm going to do what I just did. Nah, I'll go James Conner instead. I'll mix it up with James Conner. So we have 3 really good running backs. 2 of them are on the older side. Kind of risky, but I don't want to completely ignore them. Never draft them. So let's make this a team where I do. And I've noticed the receivers in the next turn are still pretty tolerable. Meanwhile, the running backs at the next turn I think are gross. So that's what I'll do. Josh predicts Bills versus Commanders in the Super Bowl. It's possible. I wouldn't say it can't happen. That's not my bet, though. But I've been missing on that prediction a couple times. I had Chiefs-Packers last year. It was Chiefs-Eagles. The year before that, I had, I think, Niners-Chargers. It was Niners-Chiefs. This year, little spoiler for the 10 people that are watching, I think it's Ravens-Rams in the Super Bowl. I'm thinking a Baltimore versus LA Rams Super Bowl. That's my opinion. Ravens defense looks elite. The secondary they just drafted and traded for. I guess technically I don't think they traded for Jair Alexander. They just got him in free agency. But their secondary was already elite. It looks even better this year. Their defense is always good. And then their offense is just fucking loaded. I think Flowers can take another leap forward. I think Isaiah Likely can take another leap forward. And I trust Derrick Henry. Yeah, I'll take the Ravens in the AFC. Not taking the Chiefs this year. I think their dynasty is taking a little hiatus. Maybe it'll come back, but at least this year I'm not trusting the Chiefs. And then, as much as I would like to endorse my Chargers, if there's a team I think is going to elevate into that spot, it's either the Ravens or the Bills in the AFC. I think that's a more likely outcome. So I'll go Ravens-Rams. Rams were the only team in the playoffs that gave the Eagles like any problems, that even came close to beating them. The Josh Allen team takes Burrow. They are welcome to do that if that's what they want. Not what I was going to do. I don't even take Josh Allen in the third that often, but to take him with Burrow, that feels very risky. He's not going to take the job outright. But I think he's still going to be somewhat relevant like last year, especially in the red zone. Like I wouldn't be shocked if Noah Gray scores 5 touchdowns and Kelsey scores another 3 like last season. But I'm not going to predict that Gray steals his job. There's still the Taylor Swift effect, you know. The NFL needs Kelsey on the screen enough to justify his girlfriend on the screen. But here I am on the board again. I need receiver pretty badly. Only with Brian Thomas JSN, I think that's the obvious direction I have to go in here. I will happily take Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs is a good pick here. Very safe with some upside. And then I also think Darnell Mooney is an extremely safe, valuable pick here. I will happily take Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 4. Let's double tap that position. And it's why I grabbed 2 running backs at the last turn with Mixon and James Cook. Don't like the running backs around this turn. I think Tyjae Spears might outscore Tony Pollard. I'm starting to officially come back around on that. I think Aaron Jones, with all of the Jordan Mason concerns, I don't think he'll score 7 touchdowns this year, and there's a chance he loses his job to the backup, so that scares me. Brian Robinson, I think, loses a lot of touchdowns to Deebo Samuel. I also think Austin Eckler still has a very legit role. And I'm also worried that if Brian Robinson Jr. fumbles even once, he could lose his job to even Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I think the 7th round pick actually has some live odds to steal his job as well. Brian Robinson Jr. was not the most effective player, just good on the goal line last year. And when he got injured and they had Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez filling in for him, their team was still really, really efficient in the run game. They didn't really miss a beat when he was off the field. So I don't trust Brian Robinson Jr. I think the price on Mason is too high, but high enough to justify being worried about Aaron Jones. I think once Pacheco comes off the board, and even he's a big risk given his injury concerns, running back is not safe in my estimation. So I'll take Joe Mixon, James Conner, 2 guys I rank top 20. And as long as they're healthy and active, that is what you're going to get from them. I think they'll both average like 14 points per game. Problem is, are they both on the field in the fantasy playoffs? Mixon's 29, already injured, missing some training camp already. James Conner played 16 games, the most of his career last season, but will be 30 years old entering 2025. That's not good. So it might behoove me to handcuff one of them. I'll consider Trey Benson, perhaps. But it can also behoove me to target some rookies that might pop in the second half of the season. Like Bashal Tutin might be a good pick on this team. Because while Conner and Mixon are in my lineup consistently, Tutin can live on the bench, not really offering much. And then when Tutin does start to pop off in the second half of the year, maybe it correlates on some missed games for Mixon and Conner, and it's a player we really need at that specific point in time. Something to consider. Quincy saying who you like more, Monty or Pacheco in best ball? In best ball, I think I still trust Montgomery more, and then there's also the upside that Gibbs gets hurt, and now you have the Lions RB1. So there's also the contingent value that Montgomery skyrockets in ADP. For that reason, I will take him above Pacheco, but I think there's an easier path for Pacheco to be a top 15 running back this year. So I think most of the time Pacheco, if healthy, will outscore Montgomery. If he's not healthy, then he's a terrible pick. And then in the scenario where Gibbs goes down, I think Montgomery has the highest ceiling of the two. So it's really close. I have them back to back, but I do rank Montgomery one spot above Pacheco in both best ball and redraft. That's how I see it. But we got 2 picks now on the clock. We're going to pass on Judkins. We've gotten him much later, so I'll ignore him. And I think I'll take Rashid Shaheed. We need some receiver production, and Shaheed is like a good best ball option. Let's hope he stays healthy. So I'll tolerate that click. And then in the last draft, we took Drake May unstacked, but we at least had Trayvon Henderson. This time I'll go Justin Fields. I'll take the slight dip on Justin Fields. We mentioned his toe injury, but I mentioned it wasn't significant enough for me to panic. I'll take Fields. That team with Breece Hall passed. The team with Garrett Wilson took Ayuk instead. I don't blame them. But round 10, Justin Fields, I still think is fine. Hopefully Shaheed does better than Olave. When he was active, Shaheed was actually, I think, more valuable than Olave. Shaheed had like one bagel, but he was putting up like Gabe Davis numbers when healthy. Shaheed game log was not too shabby last year when he was healthy. Now, he only played... Oh, no. He played 57 snaps in his final game of the season. So, he finished week 6. Week 6 does count, but there were 4 games when he was fucking great in your lineup. 73 yards and a touchdown, 96 yards and a touchdown, 83 yards on 8 catches, but no touchdown. And then week 5, 4 catches, 86 yards and a touchdown. That is really ideal for best ball. You know, the weeks with 0 yards and 11 yards, I'm willing to put past him. For the sake of best ball, I think Shaheed is a fine selection. He really smashed where we drafted him last year, and then he just got hurt. So it was like, yeah, no one's going to win a fantasy tournament with Shaheed. But he was valuable before he got hurt. Meanwhile, Olave was not that valuable. Like, if we look at the first 6 games with Shaheed, I think Olave was worse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Olave did get hurt 2 snaps into that final game. So let's not count week 6. Let's just count the first 5 weeks. His average stat line was 5.6 targets, 4.4 catches, 55 yards, and only 1 touchdown. Shaheed outscored him in those 5 games. Shaheed was much better in fantasy than Olave in those 5 games. And then they both got hurt. But Laptop651 says he's in this draft with us. Which pick do you have? Your underdog username is different. Let me know what pick you are. Laptop. But we're 4 picks away. Josh, as I heard, Saints are going to bench Spencer Rattler this season. Yeah, it seems like everything is lined up for Tyler Shough. That's what we expected. That's positive news. I think Shough is better than Rattler. Shough was a 2nd-round pick. Rattler was a 5th. Rattler did fucking nothing last year when Carr got hurt. I have no interest in Rattler. Shough, there's at least the element of surprise. But have no expectations from Rattler whatsoever. Oh boy, I'm very happy to take Tyjae Spears here. It's been a while since I've seen Tyjae past the 130 mark. So I'll happily take him as my running back 4. I have Justin Fields, George Kittle. Quarterback went off quickly there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draft Bashal Tutin or maybe Trey Benson. Yeah, I've got a lot of Bashal Tutin. He's not guaranteed to do anything. Meanwhile, if I miss out on some Connor weeks, I'd like to have Benson lined up. So I'm not in love with the receiver picks there. I think with 5, I'm okay passing for a brief round. I might regret that. But with George Kittle, I definitely don't need a tight end. I'm a little bit shaky at quarterback, but I think with the Devon Achane, Mixon, James Conner, Tyjae Spears, Trey Benson combination here that I have, I think I'm done at running back. I think I can really just call it quits. We'll see what happens. I did kind of reach on Trey Benson, but I've never seen Benson fall to like we're drafting at 156 next. I've never seen him go that late. So I'll take Benson and just have that insurance policy on James Conner. I know the volume will be there if Conner goes down, so let's do it. And then I think the trio I have at the top is good enough where I can stop at 5. I think I'm going to need 3 quarterbacks for sure. At least 8 receivers and another tight end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 picks left. There's only 6 rounds left. So yeah, I'm good with that. Anyways, Laptop saying, can you rate my team from pick 11, please? Messed up with quarterback, but would like some info for future drafts. Sorry, pick 4. 6-6 Plaha. 6-6 Playa. Okay, pick 4. Sure thing, man. Let's take a look. You go Bijan at pick 4. I like it. Good value. Bowers at 21. I don't usually like taking Bowers, but I think given where he falls, I think at that point it's justified. Marvin Harrison, not my favorite pick, but I understand why he goes in that round, but a player I'm actually really worried about. But you need a receiver, so get on the board with there. Devontae Smith, I think a good pick there. Then Chuba Hubbard as your RB2, not bad, never regrettable. And then Olave falls to you at 69. That's good. I like the Jacoby Myers combo with Brock Bowers especially, so hope you're targeting Geno later in this draft. Then you go Michael Pittman, I think one of the solid picks in round 8. Personally, I prefer Higgins just a little bit more, but I still like Pittman. I draft Pittman a lot there as well. Travis Etienne, personally, I think Etienne's going too high. Not my favorite pick. But as your RB3, I totally get it. Rashad Bateman at a slight value. Christian Kirk at 124. Dallas Goedert at 141. And then your QB1 is Geno Smith. So you are reeling at quarterback like you mentioned. I think you did mess up at quarterback there. But it can still work. I'm on the clock myself. Oh, wow. Rachaad White falls. Damn, I want to take Rachaad White. Bad. Damn it. I think I have to take the value. But this is an interesting league at quarterback. And if I didn't kind of pay attention to the board while I was reviewing your team, I wouldn't notice that it's kind of really important that I reach on Darnold here with JSN. Quarterback is about to fall off a cliff. And at least I got Fields, but yeah, looking at your team, and you said it yourself, you kind of missed out at quarterback. I hope I didn't snipe you on who you needed. I think you should probably grab a quarterback or 2. I would target like Daniel Jones. Thankfully, you have Geno Smith, so I don't think it's terrible. I would also target like Tyler Shuck with Olave. Maybe that works out. But yeah, at some point you should have drafted a quarterback. I think instead of Michael Pittman, you should have taken Kyler Murray to snipe that team at 1 with McBride. I think that's what I would have changed. And then I would have also considered just taking Justin Herbert at 117 instead of Bateman. Because you did kind of get in a weird spot at quarterback where I understand why you didn't take some where you did. But yeah, that's in hindsight, the only picks I probably would have like grabbed with some confidence would have been the Kyler at pick 93. And then Herbert, I do take unstacked, and then you can kind of sometimes fill it in with Quentin Johnston later. But Herbert, I think, is good enough in terms of just straight up points where you can take him unstacked and feel fine with him as your QB1. But you go Aaron Rodgers, kind of out of necessity. Do you have Metcalf on this team? No. But you can still go Jonnu. But you have Bowers and Goddard, probably not. Yeah. Quarterback in rounds like 9 through 12, I think would have been a better priority. Kyler at pick 86, probably. But Quincy asking to rate my team at 1. I will do that right after my next pick. I'll have two picks, then around the long turn, I'll take a look at your roster. Quincy is the team at 1. Glad he did not take Kyler. Did any NFL team sign Keenan Allen? Not yet. He has been talking with some teams. I think he will sign. I believe Keenan's going to play. But if he wanted to go to the Chargers and they wanted him, I think it would have happened at this point. At this point, I'm probably expecting him to not be a Charger, even though I'd love to see it. I am on the clock. We got 2 picks. I think I will go Tyler Shuck with Rashid Shaheed. I think this team needs a third quarterback, so I'll just take him. And then this is kind of gross. As much as I want to take my boy Dante Thornton, I'm going to leave him for you instead. And I'm going to go Mason Taylor to stack up with Justin Fields. I'll let the rookie be my tight end too. He's going to be on the field. It's round 16. I am just grabbing 2 receivers at the next turn. I imagine. Yeah. That's why I think you should have taken him 93. But Reflect the Sun asking, we don't know yet on Mooney's injury. I think Mooney is reportedly okay. I'm fine to take him where he goes. I think he might be going like 10, 12 picks too late. Hoping DJ Moore has a great season. I'm kind of worried about betting on any particular Bears receiver. I think it's kind of a little too crowded to feel like hyper optimistic about any one player. But DJ Moore should be the guy. Anyways, back to Quincy Jones asking us, can we review Team 1? Okay. Severe Jury 8 at pick 1 goes Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Trey McBride. So kind of accepting your fate that maybe you're not going to grab Burrow, I assume. But still getting some correlation and just mixing it up, grabbing a running back 1. I like the strategy. It's a little less common than teams with T. Higgins, and T. Higgins already off the board. Chase Brown also off the board. So, yeah, it makes like plenty of sense there. And then DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton at the 4-5 turn. Not bad. Jerry Jeudy at 72. Personally, I'm not in love with Jerry Jeudy, but I understand the optimism. He is one of the last wide receiver 1s that you can draft with confidence. So I get it, but oftentimes I don't take Jeudy. I like the Montgomery pick. I think at this stage of the draft, that's kind of a slight tier break. And then there's also the massive upside if Gibbs ever goes down. So I still think Montgomery's a fine pick. Kyler, you were very happy to get him at 96. And then you also go Bo Nix with Cortland Sutton. I think you made a good strategy call here because I've been in the situation at pick 1 a lot of times where I don't get Burrow. And if I don't grab a stack at quarterback at this like 8-9 turn, if I don't grab at least one quarterback, then I get boxed out of the position so many times and you're really forced to reach very often. So I think you played this really well. Maybe you have some experience. Maybe that's just what you designed in the beginning. But both of them stack up with Sutton and McBride. I think you made a very good call there with Kyler and Bo Nix. And it looks like you're stopping at the position, so I think that's wise. You go Scattaboo at a good value. I like the pick there on Scattaboo. Definitely at 120. I think it's worth it. Hollywood 121. I think Hollywood's fine, but you kind of needed a receiver, so I think that pick was justified. Bashal Tutin at 144. Love the value on Tutin. I almost took him at 133 myself. And then Dylan Sampson, 145. That could be one of the steals this year. I think the running back core is really good. Taylor, Montgomery, Scadaboo, Bashal Tutin, Dylan Sampson. I think at 5, you're in good shape. And then Pat Bryant with the Bo Nix combo. Love that pick. Mike Gesicki as your tight end 2. Not bad at all. And then De'Ami Brown, Andre Yoshivas for some depth to fill it out. I think it's a good team, man. I think you did well. There's a lot of I understood the logic on a lot of picks, and I think with the 2 quarterback, 2 tight end build, you have very good depth. I think you can tolerate a 6th running back if you want. I think you already have 8 receivers. Yeah, you have a lot of flexibility with your last pick. Do whatever you want. Definitely justified. Good job. But I am on the clock here. Whoa, no. I'm going to go Roman Wilson above Calvin Austin. Reportedly, he's getting the looks at training camp, and then oh, yeah. We'll go with the Darnold stack. I go Torrey Horton. Give me the rookie. It might be MVS as the number 3 receiver there, but I believe if Torrey Horton gets his shot at the field, he's going to be a much higher upside option. Give me Torrey Horton. And then Roman Wilson did start training camp as the number 2 receiver, not Calvin Austin. So that's the player I believed would get the job once they traded Pickens. I've been a believer in Roman. Then they acquired Jonnu, and I'm not drafting any Steeler. And now Roman Wilson is starting to get the reps, and I'm going to be on board with Roman Wilson. In round 18. So that's the team. A reminder on how it worked out. We went with a 3-6-7-2 build. And at quarterback, we got Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, Tyler Shuck. At running back, Devon Achane, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Tyjae Spears, Trey Benson, and Rachaad White. I'm kind of regretting that reach on Trey Benson, in all honesty. But I could not pass up on the Rachaad White value at 156. Had I known I'd get Rachaad White there, I would not have taken Benson. That's for sure. But receiver, a little thin with only 7, but I think it's okay. Brian Thomas, JSN, Josh Downs, Darnell Mooney, Rashid Shaheed, Roman Wilson, and Torrey Horton. So pretty risky at receiver. I'm not going to say that feels very safe. Downs is the number 3, Mooney is the 4, Shaheed is the 5, and then only 7 with Roman Wilson, Torrey Horton. Big gamble, but maybe those late round guys do pop. Hopefully it works out. But then Kittle, Mason, Taylor, at least tight end is good, and hopefully quarterback is good enough with the Fields, Darnold, Shuck combo to get it done. I don't think this team is going to win, though. I don't think this is one of my better teams I've drafted. But maybe Brian Thomas, JSN is just good enough to carry me. That's possible. It is strong at the top at receiver. Jamie says, I got 18 shares of Roman Wilson in Dynasty. I hope it works out for you. I believed in him last year. He just never stayed healthy. Quincy accepted that there was no Burrow coming. Not bad. Rather get the discount on Tillman, of course. Jamie staying on brand as always. Carrero says, I need Bo Nix to focus on Troy Franklin more targets. I've only taken Troy Franklin like once. I'm kind of out on him, but not sure about my last 2 picks there. What did we get? Quincy went Yoshivas, and then it's not showing me the last pick. Let me know who you took at 216, Quincy. Troy Franklin kicked ass in college with Bo Nix. He was terrible in the NFL, though. Hopefully he can work things out. Hopefully. Normally would have wanted Pickens over Sutton, but needed Nix. Definitely understand. Quincy Jones probably going with a super deep running back flyer with my last pick. Thought Troy Franklin would become the next Jamar Chase. Very optimistic. You went with Brooks. Brooks. The only name that comes to me on Brooks is Jonathan Brooks. There's no way you went with Jonathan Brooks. Ah, Taj Brooks. That makes sense. That's not bad. I understand the Taj Brook investment in Cincinnati. Yeah. Laptop wants to do one more. It's almost 5 p.m. Fuck it. Let's do one more. This tournament will fill. So, yeah, I'll do it. Let's close out of that. Okay, we're doing the German Shepherd. This will be the final draft of the stream, though. I will not do another one after this. So if you want to hop in, go ahead and hit the button. As long as you're ready, go ahead and hit the button. I will join in 3, 2, 1. Let's get in. One spot left. Hope you clicked it right before I did. Timing was very critical on that one. But once again, I get pick 12. Damn, we're just living on this side of the board. But let me take a look at Albie's team real quick before we move on. Albie was pick 8, went CMC, AJ Brown. Hampton, sniped me on Hampton. Understandable. Jalen Hurts for the AJ Brown combo. Makes some sense there. Jalen Waddle, Jordan Addison, Matthew Golden to play catch-up at receiver. Makes a lot of sense. Jordan Mason there. I might have passed, but I understand the pick. Keon Coleman at a good value, 104. Like that. JJ McCarthy to stack up with Addison. I get it. Maybe not my favorite pick, though. Njoku, always a good value where he goes. Ray Davis, a great pick in round 12. Tua, for the Waddle correlation, I like the value here on Tua. And then Jack Betch, I'm a Dante Thornton guy, but maybe it works out. Demario Douglas at 176, a fine pick. Roshan at a good value, 185. Darren Waller with the Tua combination. And Justice Hill at 209. A good price on Justice Hill as your running back 6. I think the team is okay. Receivers a little bit thin. I really worry about Jack Betch, in all honesty. I think Dante Thornton is the guy you want in Vegas in terms of those rookies there, but can definitely work out. AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Addison, Golden should carry you. Should be fine. But let's get back to the new draft. It has begun. And I do recognize Albie in here again with us. I recognize 6'6 Playa as well. Albie's in at pick 6, better than pick 8. Jamie likes Roshan at the 101. Well, I got 112. It looks like he might fall to me. I might get lucky. Jamie saying Franklin was a fade for me in Dynasty, just like Keon Coleman. Had them both as third-round values. Keon, I think, can still pop. I actually think Keon could have a big breakout this year. I like Keon a decent amount. But about to be on the clock. Genty comes off the board. And I'm not going to make this team identical to the last one, but I kind of want to. I will take Derrick Henry. We went with A-Chain last time. We're in the same slot. I want it to be different. I'll take Derrick Henry. And then I will also take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's be a little bit different. Last time we go Thomas, A-Chain. This time we go Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Same tier with both positions and both options. Just a different way to do it. Josh says, I'd like to know when the When the hell Buffalo Bills are going to give James Cook his money? Otherwise, James Cook needs to be traded to Cowboys, in my opinion. Derrick Henry is just as fast as Forrest Gump. Some bold takes there. I do not think James Cook's getting traded. I think they're just calling his bluff. And I think he'll just end up playing on his contract. No. If anything does get signed, I think maybe he gets some incentives, you know? Like if you crack a 1,200 yards rushing, we'll send another $1.5 million type of thing. That type of contract. I don't think he's getting the $16 million per year that he wants. I would not trust him to score 18 touchdowns in another offense. I think it's just a product of playing with Josh Allen. More so than just him and his talent. But the longer this contract dispute goes on for James Cook, the better it is for me. I have Ray Davis as my most drafted player at 23%. I'm all in on Ray Davis. But I also have James Cook at a high rate as well. I have Cook at like 11%. I think both of them are good picks. The Bills' backfield in general is really valuable. But Josh says I have James Cook and A-Chain last season. That was a good combo. I went into my 10-team PPR league with just Breece Hall and James Cook at running back, and then I had like no bench at all. And I will say I was pretty shocked that James Cook outscored Breece Hall in full PPR last year. He outscored him in half PPR as well, but Breece Hall really let me down. A big reason why I don't trust Breece Hall this year. Oh, it looks like the ad break just ran. I hope you caught that puff of smoke. If you can, if safety permits, go ahead and smoke with me. Yes, Albie. Love it. Love to see it. But JSN does come off the board. Evans off the board. Kittle off the board. So let's mix it up and let's grab the elite quarterback. Let's go with Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels. We got Derrick Henry, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got Terry McLaurin, we got Jaden Daniels. This team's definitely different than the last ones, and the problem with our last one was definitely quarterback and only having Fields, Darnold, and Tyler Shuck. That did not feel good at quarterback at all. So let's have a palate cleanser. Let's rectify that issue. Let's go with an elite option. Let's go Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin stacked up here in the third and fourth round at that turn. Never going to regret it. And I do think Terry will sign some contract. I don't think Terry's going to miss the season. I think it'll get sorted out. They also play the Cowboys in Week 17. I think that game could also be really high scoring. I believe the matchup is in Dallas, so weather's not a factor at all. I might be wrong. It might be in Washington. Let me check the schedule. Washington Commanders. Week 17 are hosting the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday. Christmas morning. Christmas morning game. Commanders versus Cowboys. That'll be fun. Granted, last year, that game was not very good for fantasy. Whether it was Nico Collins on Christmas Day or the George Pickens Steelers offense. That didn't play well on Christmas Day. Maybe the first game of the week in Week 17 is not the most ideal. Thursday morning, kind of an odd time to be playing. things to consider, but not going to overreact. That's still probably a fine game to invest in. Terry has fucking torched the Cowboys in his career. Some of his best games are against Dallas. Albie says celebrating Brown falling to me. He's got Chase Brown at pick 30. That's pretty good. He should probably come off the board with all the guys in round 2, you know. But now him and Hampton are going off the board at pick 30 and 31. There's the optimism that Najee's, not involved at all with Hampton. I think it's totally justified to take him where he goes, but I do think Chase Brown's a much safer locked in RB1. I think that volume is a little easier to project in Cincinnati than it is in LA. I'm still not completely writing Najee Harris off entirely. Josh, welcome to the club. So just about everyone would like to do that. But ran out of time. There goes Travis Hunter. Not the worst pick, but on the riskier side. Rome Odunze off the board. The last draft we did, we went with the old guys with Mixon and Connor. Not going to do that again. I'm going to take who I think is really the best option in this turn. I'm going to go with TreVeyon Henderson. We already have Derrick Henry. I do not need another 30-year-old running back on this team. That's for sure. But to pair up with Jayden Daniels, I'm going to grab Deebo Samuel. I'm at pick 12. I have to wait a long time. There's no chance that Deebo circles all the way back to me. And I have the Jayden Daniels stack. I already have Terry, but let's get both of them. Let's get Deebo Samuel as well. Let's just fully commit to Washington here. We got Jayden Daniels at quarterback, Derrick Henry, TreVeyon Henderson at running back, and then the receiving core is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel. Out of the 12 slot, I think that's not bad at all. Balanced, but also has that elite onesie option. I think we're making this work with the cards we were dealt. But Albie goes Addison at 67. Even if Addison gets suspended 3 games, I think he's a good pick. I mean, we're drafting Rashee Rice at 49, and Rashee Rice might get suspended for 6 games. Granted, all the reports out of camp are that Rashee Rice is Mahomes' clear favorite target. Which, I think Mahomes kind of owes it to him. Mahomes is the one that led to Rashee Rice missing time. Mahomes is the one that blew out Rashee Rice's knee. Do you think maybe Mahomes feels guilty about something? Do you think maybe he's going to feel compelled to say, I'm sorry, as much as possible? And give Rashee Rice the ball every time he asks for it? Albie says, I think Mahomes' helmet feels great remorse. Yeah, it was clearly just the helmet that made all the decisions there. The helmet chose to close his eyes and basically try and dislocate the knee of the Chargers defender on that pick. Instead, fate had a different choice, and Mahomes just blindly just leans his shoulder And helmet. Just right into Rashee Rice's leg. Laptop really wanted Addison there. He has Justin Jefferson, so somewhat appropriate. Laptop, you're gonna take JJ at 93. You're gonna reach on JJ 2 full rounds. At least take him like 100. Oh, you're at the 3 slot, so take him 99. I wouldn't take him at 94, but maybe you're just trying to goad Albie into taking him at 91. I think that's an egregiously high price on JJ McCarthy. I would not be taking JJ McCarthy at 91. Personally, I would not do that. All right. Coming back around. I know who I would take if he's there. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what Noggle is about to do. I expect Noggle to snipe me, but I'm not going to say it and jinx it. He goes Egbuka. I really wanted Egbuka there. Would have loved to have Egbuka. We have Daniels. We're not going to go Mahomes. I think I definitely need a receiver here. At least one. I will take Darnell Mooney. We've mentioned we really like the price on Darnell Mooney this year. And then I will further commit to a breakout rookie campaign from Jaden Higgins. We got a bunch of veterans on this roster, some old guys. And let's get some youth on the board here. Let's go Jaden Higgins. Higgins, I think, is one of the safest receivers left. And I could really envision him outscoring Matthew Golden, in all honesty. I think he's in possibly a better situation than Egbuka finds himself in. Because at some point of the year, even if Egbuka crushes filling in for Godwin, Godwin is expected to get back on the field inevitably. You know, we're not expecting Godwin to miss an entire season. He played 7 games last year, so missing a full calendar year would bring him back week 8 at the latest. So when that's the case, Egbuka also has Mike Evans, also has McMillan to deal with on top of Godwin. Meanwhile, Jaden Higgins is like locked into wide receiver 2 in his offense. And so I think he should be going right in line with Egbuka. And I think I've seen Egbuka move up the board quickly earlier today and yesterday. Like I've seen Egbuka go at like pick 70 in round 6. Most of the time in the last 48 hours, I've seen Egbuka go above Chris Godwin. This draft was a little different. That team with Mike Evans did pass on Egbuka for Tony Pollard and then grabs Baker at 87. I think if you were planning to go with Baker, I would have just taken Egbuka instead of Pollard. But I get it with Mixon and Connor as your only running back so far. Having another option, probably safe. But another old guy, 28 years old, Tony Pollard. I might have just opted for Egbuka, gotten the double stack with Baker. But receivers really loaded on that team. He has Nico, Brian Thomas, Mike Evans, Tet McMillan. I understand the Pollard selection from Team 10. Laptop asking what quarterbacks are you comfortable taking unstacked? Definitely the guys with rushing value. Like I did double stack Jaden Daniels, but I'm fine with Daniels unstacked. I'm fine with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson unstacked, Jalen Hurts unstacked as well. Then it starts to get a little bit more tricky as we move down. Like I would much rather have Baker stacked up, but you can also backstack him with a few guys like Rachaad White, Cade Otton and McMillan if you really have to. So if the price is right on Baker, I'll take him. But Mahomes, I generally only take if I have a stack to justify it. I think Mahomes has some risk at ADP. Justin Fields, I'll take unstacked. Kyler, I sometimes take unstacked, but I don't think Kyler is actually worth the high price tag. So I've almost never taken Kyler unstacked, just because I don't want him at the 8-9 turn. And I also generally don't draft McBride and Harrison, so I almost never have a reason to stack Kyler Murray. I am kind of a big fade on Kyler Murray in all honesty, but otherwise I'll stack Drake May unstacked. I'll draft him unstacked. Drake May of the Patriots. He had more rushing yards per game than Kyler Murray last season. I like Drake May unstacked a lot actually. Bo Nix, I'm also willing to go unstacked. I'm actually willing to take Caleb Williams unstacked. Caleb Williams had almost 500 rushing yards last year. And it seems like most people just grab Caleb only with the stack. That's an interesting one. I will also consider Justin Herbert unstacked, but I don't like the running backs here. Not at all, honestly. I think I'm going to go Mark Andrews. We got Derrick Henry, so an investment in Baltimore. And then I just kind of talked myself into it on Caleb Williams, but Caleb Williams is my most drafted quarterback overall. I've been trying to catch up a little bit on Drake May, and I do have the TreVeyon Henderson stack for Drake May. I'll go Drake May. And now I can just call it done at quarterback. We've got two elite young prospects entering their second year. I think the Patriots are actually going to be a playoff team. So we got two playoff quarterbacks. Also, I think Drake May's week 17 matchup is really good. He gets the Jets. I don't trust the Jets to stop him. Right? I'm pretty sure he gets the Jets. He plays at the New York Jets at 10 a.m. Would have preferred if that was a home game, but I think still even on the road, that should be a good matchup. Either way, it would have been outdoors. But the Jets defense doesn't scare me that much. I know they have like a good roster on defense, but do they really scare you? Not really. More so in the secondary, and I think that could be a big run game for Drake May and TreVeyon Henderson. Maybe just wishful thinking because I have them on the roster, but I have thought that out. You know, like when you look at the Week 17 slate and you consider that on Underdog all the money is made on Week 17, you start to think like, okay, are there any games I might be trying to avoid? Actually, that's a fun exercise. Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, here's Week 17, the NFL schedule. We have Thursday, Christmas Day, Cowboys at Washington. Just the fact that it's Christmas morning on Thursday, that's not ideal. But I think they play on Saturday the week before. I think they're going to be fine and rested. I'm not that worried about it. Detroit, Minnesota, probably going to be a shootout. Just wish it wasn't on Thursday. And then Denver, Kansas City, that might be a really gritty defensive game. That one I'm kind of worried about is really low scoring. But Dallas, Washington, I think will be a relative shootout unless it's like super cold in DC. That Vikings Lions game though in the dome, that's probably going to be a real shootout. I expect like, 33-27 final score, that type of thing. Maybe even more points scored. That one should be high. So Vikings Lions I think is good to go. Commanders Cowboys doesn't scare me. Chiefs Broncos a little bit scary, but probably not like panicking over it. Steelers Browns, that's probably really low scoring game. I don't expect much offense in that game. New Orleans Tennessee, that's not my favorite. Maybe the Titans play well, but I wouldn't be investing in the Saints offense at that point. Not really trying to do it. Jags, Colts in the Dome. That could be a big shootout. That one I think is really interesting. One reason why I really like Brian Thomas as well. At least not a red flag for Brian Thomas. And then Tampa, Miami, no defense from the Dolphins at that point in the season. I think the Dolphins will be practically cutting ship. That one should be high. Also, Miami weather in Florida, that is not a concern. Florida game should be good. But I'm about to be on the clock. Let's take a look at the ADP. Najee Harris still on the board at pick 132. I need running back, so I think I will scoop up the value. I have Mark Andrews, so I don't feel desperate for tight end. At receiver, we got Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Debo, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins. So I could go CJ Stroud. However, I have Daniels and Drake May. I'm not going to go CJ Stroud. I'm going to pass on CJ Stroud. Instead, I'm looking at Bashal Tutin. I'm looking at Ray Davis. But I've got a shit ton of Ray Davis already. Give me Bashal Tutin. Give me the rookie that can explode. Both, I think, are good picks. In general, I take Ray Davis higher. Today, we're taking Bashal Tutin. But the team, I think, is solid. We got Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Derrick Henry, Trayvon Henderson, Najee Harris, Bashal Tutin at running back. I'm not convinced Najee will be a zero. I still think at some point he's never missed a game in his career. Maybe that'll change this season, but maybe it doesn't. Wide receiver, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins. I feel comfortable enough to double tap running back there with the depth. And then tight end, so far we're rolling with Mark Andrews, but we can always stack up with Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, or even Ben Sennett if we want to. Maybe Isaiah Likely circles back. That's unlikely to happen, but it's possible. And I don't mind having both of them on the same team. So back to our little exercise, though. We left off with the Bucks and Dolphins. There is the Patriots-Jets game. I think the Patriots could really dominate. Not that optimistic about the Jets. Not a matchup I'm like dying to target. Could be bad weather out in Jersey, December 28th. I think the run game will be more valuable in that game than the passing one. But then we have Bills-Eagles in the afternoon. That one's going to be a really high-scoring game. I'm happy to target Bills and Eagles for Week 17. Someone's going to make a lot of money with Bills-Eagles. Then there's also on Sunday night, the Niners and Bears. Last year, the Niners were also in prime time. They had a Monday night game, and that was one of the highest scoring games there was. It was Lions versus Niners. The Niners defense has been gutted. The Bears offense should be pretty efficient at that point in the season, should know what they're doing. I think that game could be a massive shootout. I think both teams could score like 35 points, especially if McCaffrey and Kittle are healthy. Ayuk should be healthy at that point. I think that's a player to keep in mind for that matchup. That one should be really high scoring. So Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy for the Niners. Those are quarterbacks to target. And then Monday, December 29th, in primetime, we have the Rams and Falcons in Atlanta in the Dome. No weather to worry about at all. I think that one's going to be a shootout as well. And then there's 5 games that are going to be determined that week. We have Bengals Cardinals. The Bengals defense is trash, but maybe the Cincinnati weather is not ideal. I could see that hold back this game a little bit, where like Arizona is not as elite as we would hope so, but the Bengals defense is shit. So that game is more likely a very high shootout. I expect the Bengals to be like desperate for wins. So I expect that to be high scoring. We're about to be on the clock. What pick is this? 157? Okay, so Kyle Pitts is not a value here. I am on the clock. I'm willing to go Eckler here to pair up with Jaden Daniels. I think that's actually a sneaky stacking option. And then personally, I'm not in love with Zach Ertz this year, so I'll get ahead of that. I'm also never dying to draft Kyle Pitts in the first place, so even though we could go Demario Douglas to stack up with Drake May, let's take a gamble. He circles back. I feel safe enough with my receiving core. I'd rather just grab Hunter Henry. And if I wanted to stop at 2 tight ends, I can with Andrews and Hunter Henry. But I'll probably grab a third, most likely. But we got Drake May, we got Travion Henderson, we have Hunter Henry. Henry is my favorite stacking option with Drake May overall. I think he's a really, really safe pick, especially when you have Drake May. But even if you don't, I think where he's going, he's a good value. So a full reminder on how this draft went round by round. We had the 12 slot. We took Derrick Henry and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then we grabbed the Commanders stack with Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels at the 3-4 turn. Then I took a rookie running back in Travion Henderson to pair up with Derrick Henry and passed on James Conner, also a 30-year-old, not my favorite pick alongside Henry. And then I took Deebo Samuel, reached on him a few picks, but I think he's a worthwhile pick in round 6, no matter who you have at quarterback. But with Jaden Daniels, definitely a worthwhile stacking option as well. I think he's a valuable pick this season. Then we got Darnell Mooney and Jaden Higgins at receiver to balance it out for some depth. Those are our 4th and 5th receivers. Then I took Mark Andrews because I think at value, he's a good pick, even unstacked. Then I took Drake May to call it done at quarterback. If Drake May is your second QB and Jaden Daniels is your first, you are set at QB. So just getting 2, I think, is a luxury in itself. Definitely worth acquiring. Then we got a good price on Najee Harris. I don't think he's going to be worse than Trey Benson this season, so happy to take him there at 132 overall. Then Bashal Tutin for the upside swing. I think he's the most valuable running back in Jacksonville. I think the only problem is you're never going to know when to start him in redraft. In best ball, though, that is not a concern. I think he's a good best ball pick in the 12th round. But then I take Eckler, another stacking option with the Jaden Daniels Washington quarterback. And then lastly, we took Hunter Henry in the 14th round, tight end to stack with Drake May. I might take a third, but if I don't want to, I think I can get away with the combination of Andrews and Hunter Henry if I need to. So I like the team so far. I think it's a good competitive roster. I think I'm done at running back, though. I think with Henry, Travion, Najee, Tutin, and Eckler, I think I'm calling it done. With some veterans, some rookies, and then a player who may be in jeopardy of missing his first career games with some missing eyebrows, Najee Harris. But receiver, I think the floor is good enough with Amon-Ra and Terry where I don't need like the most desperate approach in terms of depth. I think having Deebo, Darnell Mooney, and Jaden Higgins is a good way to round out the depth with upside. I definitely don't feel desperate at receiver. So if I don't like someone here, I will pass and figure it out later. But Roschon falls a full round. I think I'll take the value on Roschon. Like I said, we're not forced to draft that third tight end if we don't want to. I think it's worth scooping up. But then I'm still going to have 2 picks after this, so finishing with 7 receivers is not that scary to me. I'm going to grab Dante Thornton, though, because I still think the tight end market's going to be pretty much the same than what it is right now. And Dante Thornton is a player I'm starting to fully believe in. Dante Thornton, one of my boys. And also, like, the difference between round 16, 17, and 18 is pretty negligible in the first place. But the camp reports to start out this week were that Dante Thornton was the number 2 receiver above Jack Betch. He was on the field. Jack Betch was not in 11 personnel. Albie says Warren dropping. Is that Tyler Warren or Jaylen Warren? Because if it's Jaylen Warren, I will scoop it up all day. Tyler Warren, I'll probably scoop it up too. I'm happy to take Tyler Warren if he falls. Both Warrens. Bryce says Mooney has a shoulder injury and is out for most of camp. That's not great. But I think even when he's healthy, I think it'll still be fine. If he misses games, then I'll be worried. But if he's going to miss most of camp, never ideal. You don't want to be chasing injuries, but I still think he was going too late. So factoring that in, I still think in the 8th round where I took him, especially like how desperate I was for receivers in these last 2 drafts, I'm still fine drafting Mooney. I think his upside is worth it. But Laptop asking, can you run through my team at pick 3? I messed up a bit on Rodgers, but I'm really liking this team. Sure thing, man. I'll be saying Tyler Warren fell. 128 on Tyler Warren. Okay, let's take a look at Laptop's team. He's on the clock at pick 3, so we'll get to his most recent pick at the end of this. But he goes Jefferson, Josh Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Chuba Hubbard, Judy, Ricky Pearsall. Like I mentioned, Judy not my favorite pick there, but fine. Very balanced, good approach so far. And then Justin Fields, JJ McCarthy. I think you reached too high on McCarthy. I don't think I'd take him at 99, man. But if you really want him, I guess I understand it. Still, I don't think I'd be reaching on him at that price. And then David Njoku, you reach on Aaron Rodgers too. Yeah, I think you overspent at quarterback. Oftentimes you can get JJ McCarthy at 123 and you can get Rodgers at like 190 sometimes. So yeah, I think you forced it a little too much at quarterback after the last draft when you got boxed out. Like the trio can work, but I think you just overspent on it because now the equation is JJ McCarthy that much better than, a receiver that you passed on, or Travis Etienne, I'm on the clock. Give me a second. I will grab my 3rd tight end. I'm going to take a flyer on Ben Sennett in Washington. Maybe Ertz goes down. And then I think I'm going to go Jermaine Burton, but before I let that happen, I'm going to just take a quick peek on the remaining Commanders. Yeah, I'd rather go Jermaine Burton than Noah Brown. I'll take Jermaine Burton. We already have 2 receivers in Washington stacked up with Jaden Daniels already. I don't need a 3rd. We got Terry and Debo. Let's go with Jermaine Burton. All right, so here's the final roster. We have Jaden Daniels, Drake May. That's a really good quarterback combo. Running back, Derrick Henry, Traven Henderson, Najee Harris, Bajal Tutin, Austin Eckler, Roschon Johnson. Maybe the risk of Najee being like that unvaluable is probably a justification to take 6, but I went a little cautious at running back on this one. I don't know if I needed Roschon. Just got a really good price on Roschon. Receiver, Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Debo, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins, Dante Thornton, Jermaine Burton. I hope my 6th running back does not come to the expense of my receiver production. I think I'll be fine at receiver because my top 3, my top 2 at least, I think are really safe. But if Mooney is in fact hurt, does miss time, that'll be sad. But I think Higgins is going to be really productive. I think Burton has some upside. I think Thornton is okay as your 6th. And then tight end, Andrews, Hunter Henry, Ben Sennett. Maybe swapping out Roschon or Sennett for an 8th receiver would have been wise, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's okay how it worked out. But just to wrap up on Laptop's team, after Aaron Rodgers, he goes Rachaad White, Jake Ferguson, Jerome Ford, Jonnu Smith, Darius Slayton, Calvin Austin, Blake Corum. I actually like every pick in this draft for you, except for JJ McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. But when you put into context, like just having them, I don't think you messed up with any of the other picks. Like you just reached on Rodgers and reached on JJ McCarthy. But there is the risk that the team with Addison and Hockenson doesn't let you have JJ McCarthy. So you were advertising to Albie that you're going to take JJ McCarthy. He took TJ Hockenson to maybe call your bluff, and you go with McCarthy at 99. You know what? I think that's actually somewhat justified. The Rodgers pick, way too high, but you do have Jonnu Smith, and you also have DK Metcalf. If it is the path for success, then so be it. So I think it's fine. I might have gone Roman Wilson instead of Calvin Austin, though. Looks like Roman Wilson is operating as the number 2 receiver, at least yesterday in camp. I'm sure Austin will still get some reps and targets down the field. But, yeah, not totally sure if Austin is a safe pick, but I think everything other than your quarterback reaches were all really good in this draft. I think you had a good one. You had the Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields combo, Jacobs and Chuba at running back with 5 total. I think it's fine. Jerome Ford is also a really good pick. Good team, man. Good team. Bryce saying, can you rank these quarterbacks from redraft? May, Dak, Love, and Stafford. I think you put them in order, man. I think that's exactly how I'd rank it. May, I think, has the highest floor with his rushing value. Also, like a top 5 ceiling if the passing game gets right. Dak has been a top 5 quarterback in the past, but off the injury with a new offensive coordinator, maybe doesn't work out. The rushing value for him is gone, but they add George Pickens, so the touchdowns should be there. I think Dak has the upside to compensate for his risk, so I would rank him above Jordan Love. But Love is really close behind him, not far in terms of tier-based rankings. I think they both carry some risk. Love was elite 2 years ago in the second half, but injured in week 1 last year. Maybe he bounces back. Golden should help. And then Stafford has no rushing value at all, but has really good receivers to throw the ball to. And if Adams steals a lot of touchdowns from Kyren Williams, Puka scores more, then Stafford could be a steal, but probably the least likely to realize that top 10 value. So I'd rank it just how you put it. May, Dak, Love, then Stafford in that order. But that's going to be it for me. Just a full final reminder on the roster. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Derrick Henry, Travion Henderson, Najee, Tootin, Eckler, Roshan, Amon-Ra, Terry, Debo, Mooney, Higgins, Dante Thornton, Jermaine Burton, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and Ben Sennett. That's going to be it for me. Had fun. We went a little longer than I expected, and maybe smoked a little bit more than anticipated. But it's a good one. It's been a good one. Hope you enjoyed. And if you did, subscribe, like the video. I'll see you next time. Got to do some editing this weekend. I'm trying not to fall behind, but need to post part 2 of my wide receiver rankings before I release any more content. So expect that maybe Sunday morning, and then I'll go live on Sunday evening, do another one of these live streams. Expect more content on Sunday, but I'll see you next time. Peace out.